Portable DAC amp units. I love these things. Bluetooth, great sound, convenient. And hey guys, by the way, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if it's your first time. In this video, I'm checking out the Muse HiFi M5 Ultra. Let's get it. What's cracking, audio fans? David here from Prime Audio Reviews. So the M5 Ultra, it's an interesting device. It's priced at $299. Now this is a DAC, this is an amp, and we've got tubes, baby, vacuum tubes in here. Let's talk about the DAC first of all, and inside we've got a Sabre ES9038Q2M, but this is a special one because Muse HiFi actually worked together with ESS Technology, the manufacturers of Sabre DACs, to make this special version, which is a 6418 ES9038Q2M DAC chipset. And yeah, the reason for that is because it is designed specifically to work with the vacuum tubes inside here. And speaking of those tubes, we've got dual Gen 6418 military grade NOS vacuum tubes inside. Now, one of the problems that is often pops up with portable devices with tubes is the stethoscopic or microphonic effect. The tubes are very sensitive. Now, some of my units that I've got with tubes in it, like my Fat Lab Chimera and my Sassy, etc., just any slight bump or touch will set the tubes a-ringing. And this happens with desktop units as well, sensitive ones. But what Muse HiFi have done, they've created special shock absorber technology that sort of protects the vacuum tubes from all vibrations and bumps. So there's absolutely zero stethoscopic and microphonic effect. I'm not exaggerating. I haven't heard a single ring from this device. And now if you're familiar, if you've heard that noise before, you'll know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, you'll just sort of have to bear with me. The M5 Ultra is Bluetooth capable. It's got a Qualcomm QCC5125, which supports LDAC and aptX adaptive. So you've got high-res Bluetooth wireless audio codecs. All right, let's have a look at the exterior of the unit. By the way, yes, I have a leather case on here. This actually comes in the box, so I decided I'll just leave it on even for this walkthrough. So there is the front panel, and right away you'll notice that PCB under the glass panel. It looks awesome. Just above the glass, I don't know how well you can see it on the camera, but there is a display there, and it shows you your input, whether it's Bluetooth or USB-C. Then you've got your volume. Then you've got your 3 gain modes, low, medium, and high. There are a total of 7 digital audio filters. That's your battery level. That's your bit rate. And then the VT means vacuum tube, and you can swap between vacuum tube and transistor mode, which is pretty awesome, by the way. And you can do that on the fly while you're playing music. Now, to cycle through these options, well, let's look at the buttons first. So there's your power button, volume up, volume down. This is the menu button, but it also acts as your play and pause button. And then you've got your, next track and previous track. But these 2 buttons you also use to navigate through the menu. So you press the M button there, and it will cycle through your available options. So you can change the gain, low, medium, and high. Then we'll push it again. You can change the digital filters, total of 7. Then you can switch between transistor mode or solid state and vacuum tube. So let's just go back to VT. So we get that lovely orange glow going on, and that's it there. So you can see the tubes in the side through that grill, which also acts as a ventilation. By the way, the unit only gets just ever so slightly warm. It doesn't get hot like a lot of tube products. So on the bottom of the unit there, we've got our headphone jacks, 3.5mm and 4.4mm balance. and 2 USB Type-C ports. One is for data and the other one is for charging the unit. Now you can use this as an external DAC with a smartphone or a PC. You can run it off the battery like I'm doing now, or you can use it when it's plugged in and charging as well. And by the way, if you do a short press on this power button, that turns off the display. And when the display is off, all these buttons are locked. So that's a pretty useful feature. For the most part, I just left the display on because it doesn't seem to affect the battery life, which reminds me, we've got a 3000 milliamp hour battery in here, and you're looking at about 10 hours of battery life. And this device also supports fast charging, including QC4 and PD fast charging. And one more thing before we get onto the sound is the Bluetooth connectivity. Now, this is part of the reason that Muse HiFi worked with ESS technology to come up with that custom DAC chip, is to work around the issues that in the past people have had with tubes and Bluetooth. And those things are like consistencies, signal strength, and, electronic interference. But those all seem to have been addressed. Like in Bluetooth mode, I don't hear any background noise, no hiss, whether I'm in tube mode or transistor mode. So that's pretty awesome. One thing I did notice is the range of the Bluetooth signal is less than a lot of my other Bluetooth devices. Like if I walk out the door behind me and close the door, I'll get about 5 meters before the signal starts dropping out. A lot of other devices, you'll get about 10 meters, but really, it's either, when I'm using it at least, it's either on my desk or in a pocket, so that's not really an issue. And when I was using Bluetooth, I didn't have any dropout or connection issues at all. All right, so with that said, let's talk about how this little guy sounds now. Now, in transistor mode, it is pretty much as you would expect. So many of you will be familiar with that ES9038Q2M DAC chip, and it sounds pretty much, well, this version, this special 6418 version, sounds basically identical to my ear as the standard variant. And that is to say, it's got a detailed and precise sound with well-defined instruments and vocals. It's got great dynamic range, these chips, and signal-to-noise ratio, which means that you get a nice and clean, transparent sound. And I should switch over to transistor mode while I'm talking about it. And you'll notice that the tubes have gone to sleep, so to speak. And I love this mode for critical listening or for pairing with certain warmer headphones. So for example, maybe my Muse 99 Classics, which have a very warm tonality, that transistor mode works very well with that, because that sort of extra clinical precision that you get from transistor mode pays benefits with warmer transducers. And, that's perfect for when you want to hear an uncolored or more analytical sound, or when you're looking for absolute neutrality. You get a nice tight bass response. It's well controlled. It's got fast punchy notes. The mid-range is transparent, it's well defined. You get nice clear vocals and instruments without any muddiness whatsoever. The treble is nice and crisp and detailed, and you get a highly resolving sound. So again, it's, transistor mode is ideal for accuracy and micro detail retrieval. But of course, the big drawing card of this device is the tubes and the tube mode. So let's talk about how it sounds in tube mode. This is where the M5 Ultra gets really interesting. So after switching to the tube mode, music notes gain body, they gain dimensionality. And if you've got ultra sharp or sterile, modern digital recordings are sort of have a very digital feel sometimes, suddenly they sound more analog and musical. Everything becomes smoother, especially in the mid-range where vocals and instruments sound more lush and lifelike. The mild second order harmonic distortion, that is the good kind of distortion, by the way. That is why we use tubes. We actually want that distortion. So with that, the music sounds more pleasant. It adds a sense of depth and some character to the music. Bass notes gain extra body and weight. Well, notes from top to bottom pretty much gain a little bit of extra body and weight and dimensionality. Mid-range gains an added sense of fluidity and engagement that, solid state mode can't quite replicate. And the warmth of the tubes also slightly softens the treble, and that gives you a sound that's, I think, more immersive and musical, and definitely slightly easier on the ears. There's a certain magic in the way that the tubes transform recordings. It makes even familiar tracks feel fresh and engaging. The soundstage opens up, it expands with instruments and vocals appearing more three-dimensional, and it gives the music a sense of space and presence that solid state modes again often struggle to achieve. The M5 Ultra's tube mode enhances music in a way that makes it feel more intimate and more captivating. So I haven't actually touched on the output power of this unit yet, and I haven't seen any specifications listing the specific output power. So, but remember, we've got 3 gain modes. Now in low gain, even with very sensitive IEMs, I heard absolutely zero background noise, even in tube mode. That is pretty impressive. And harder to drive headphones like my Sennheiser HD650. With those in high gain, I used both the single-ended and the balanced outputs, and it had plenty of power for the HD650s. I was looking at about 60 to 70 on the volume out of 100, that is. And with the Sennies, despite their sort of warmer tuning, they still sound nice and clear. The bass gains a bit more depth, but it maintains good definition. Vocals are articulate, but slightly romanticized and a little bit more immersive thanks to that tubey goodness. The treble is nice and smooth and airy, slightly more diffuse than it is with a solid state amp. And the soundstage width, which is already excellent on these headphones, is actually increased. So you get a slightly wider stage in tube mode, and which sort of reaches just outside of your headspace, which is awesome for immersion. And imaging and placement are still precise even when you're in tube mode. So you're giving away very little in technical performance, to be honest, but you're gaining that excellent analog tubeness. So overall, look, this is a really neat little device. Take it on the go, use it on the desktop with your phone or a PC, whatever. It's actually, I enjoyed it a lot more than I was anticipating. These things often seem a bit gimmicky, but this is definitely a good hi-fi product, and I think it's pretty good value for the money. And you might say, come on, $300 is not cheap, and of course it's not, but when you think about what they've done here, and you think about, I'll take it out of the case just quickly to show you. The build quality is exceptional. You got a glass cover on the back, which of course is a fingerprint magnet, but it feels fantastic. The case is nice and thick aluminium. It's got a nice matte, smooth texture to it. The buttons are responsive and clicky. And overall, look, I just think this is a great little device. Having said that, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, PAR Family Audiophile style. If you're new here, consider hitting that subscribe button before you go. And until next time, I'll see you later.